Hello, Aaron.
Hey, Zach.
So, Sea of Thieves comes out on March 20th. What do you think of that?
That's coming out pretty soon.
It is pretty soon. Are you interested in this game?
Somewhat. There are a couple things that I don't like about it, but there are also a couple things I do like about it.
I want you to tell me what you don't like about it, and I'll see if I agree.
I don't like that you have to buy it on the Windows Store. Like, what is that about?
There is that, yeah. It would be much better if it was on Steam, for sure.
I don't even know how to access the Windows Store. And, like, do I have to give Microsoft my credit card information?
I mean, it should just be on your computer if you have, like, a Windows 10 computer. It was default on my computer, so...
Yeah, I guess I do have Windows 10. But I don't use any of those, like, terrible Metro apps.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Like downloading this beta, I played the technical alpha and the beta, and it was not really troublesome whatsoever. Especially like you have a Microsoft account from your 360 days, so you should be like good to go as far as that's concerned.
So the second thing I don't like is maybe something that isn't true, but it does not seem like there's a ton of variety in this gameplay.
Yeah, so that's the thing that has me a little bit worried about this game as well. There was more recently, I saw a video that went into a little bit greater detail than pretty much anything I'd ever seen about this game so far, and that did make me feel like there was going to be some decent variety, and obviously this is a game as service, so it's going to keep evolving over time, so there's that, but... Yeah, definitely. The quests I did during the beta and the technical alpha were very... I mean, you can basically break them down to fetch quests, where you go to one of these vendors and you say, or you pay for a treasure map, and then you sail to that place, you find the X, you dig up the thing, and you sail back. And you may have to deal with other pirates along the way at some point, and you might not.
Oh, they're human pirates.
Yeah, human pirates. There's like skeletons on the islands you may have to deal with, but there are going to be quests that you can get that involve going and killing like a specific skeleton guy. I guess he's like some legendary pirate or whatever that you have to take down. So it's kind of like a boss battle, I guess, but yeah, like shooting your gun and hacking and slashing with the sword is a little bit finicky. It's not
the other thing.
It's not the best looking combat I've ever seen.
Something I think that would improve the combat, but I don't know if it's going to happen, is like weapon variety. Because from what I've seen, it's just pistols and like a sniper style like musket and a sword.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Like
there's like the blunderbuss, which is basically a shotgun, but yeah, it's pretty bare bones, and like you can level those up, but I feel like that's not going to make a huge difference in terms of gameplay. Well, not like leveling them up. It's more like buying a higher rank or a better version of it.
But what makes it better? Like just it does more damage?
I guess, like, again, that remains to be seen, I guess, at this point, but it looks like they look different, so I think it's all about aesthetics, and that's another reason why I think this game might be a little bit shallow in terms of content. You're not leveling a character, you're not really leveling gear, you're just sort of buying upgrades.
Well, I mean, I think in some ways what they're going for is a group hang game. Am I correct?
Yeah, for sure. Like this game is all about just goofing around with your friends. It seems like not the kind of game that you're gonna want to play by yourself. I guess you can do that for a while if like none of your friends are on and you wanna go get that gun from that one vendor, but I feel like you'll get kind of bored with it fairly quickly if that's how you end up playing it most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it was going to be sort of games as a service, and I think when games as a service are trying to recreate is early days of Minecraft, where people were just like getting on a Minecraft and it was great, and they were goofing around with their friends and making servers. And then like once a week, it seemed like in the early days, that like you just get developer like Notch would get on Twitter and be like, guess what? There's dogs now, or like, guess what? The Nether is coming out in October. And I don't see, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't really see like them adding crazy stuff like that to this. Like,
well, that strikes
system.
me as more early access and not necessarily games as service.
What's the difference?
So they're similar because Destiny is a game as service, and Minecraft's like the early days of Minecraft, that was early access. So they function kind of similarly, but if it's considered early access, then it's not done, which means pretty much they can, as often as they're able to, just drop new stuff in and see how it works. And with a game as service, you're waiting for, you know, months maybe to get a big patch of some sort, and they'll give you all kinds of like new quests and things like that.
The key theme, I guess, that those two things share, though, is an evolving game in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Which, this is, like, I mean, it's Microsoft, so I don't know, like, who is making, Rare is making this.
Yeah, it's Rare.
Are they making anything else right now?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I'm not sure what they're working on. I just know they've been working on this for a long time.
Another similar, I mean, a game that this also makes me think of a little bit, speaking of early access games, is Star Citizen, which is like,
never coming out.
Is never coming out. But the itch that these two games both scratch is the having a ship, whether it be a spaceship or a sea ship, that you can get in with your friends and just go on missions together. Like I think that's what a lot of people want out of Star Citizen, is a persistent world where they have basically a mobile base of operations that they can pal around with their friends in. But unlike Star Citizen, I mean, I just don't see any depth here. Like, not that we're going to make a lot of depth and shallowness puns, but I mean, like, so if you are palling around with your friends and you have a big ship, what if you're alone? What if you log in with, like, do you have more than one ship? Like, what's the persistence here?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to it, but I feel like the game that this is really going to have competition with, and that's going to be pushing them to keep advancing and adding stuff and making them more interesting, is that other pirate game as service game that's coming out. We saw a little bit of it at E3 last year. It was, I want to say, based on the the pirate Assassin's Creed game. Do you remember that?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember any other pirate game from E3.
Yeah, there's definitely another one. Is it?
But they haven't had any betas or anything. Like, I feel like that's not in the zeitgeist at all.
Yeah, that game probably may not come out this year, although I think it's planned for like fall, but maybe they won't make that. Skull and Bones, that's what it's called.
I've never heard of that.
From Ubisoft. It is based on the Assassin's Creed, the pirate Assassin's Creed, like all the ship stuff from that. Yeah, Black Flag. And you're supposed to be able to, like, it's got a lot of customization options and stuff like that, and it's all about multiplayer. That one's going for a more realistic look, whereas this one's obviously a lot more cartoony.
Yeah, this is the way to go, though. I don't think I want a realistic pirate game.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like the aesthetic of this is so much more like being a real pirate would probably really suck in real life. Like, there's not a lot going on, and the beautiful visuals of this, and just like the interesting, like, you're not gonna have, there's not like ghost skeleton pirates in the Ubisoft one, is there?
Not that I know of. But I don't think they've shown very much. I'm expecting them to show off a lot more at E3 this year, hopefully. But they're going to do a beta for that game as well. I don't know. I think a lot of people would prefer the more realistic
Really?
graphics. I do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like more people would rather have realistic graphics.
People love Rare though. They're a company that uh, had a lot of mind share in the early part
It's
of it.
true, but I think there's also a lot of concern about the fact that this game may not have that much content to
Rightly
it.
so. I mean,
Whereas if Skull and Bones can do everything that this game does, but be a more fun multiplayer experience and just have more of a hook to it, that game already
pretty good,
has.
Zach.
Well, that game already has.
I was commenting on your hook. That was a good hook pun.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even notice. Better than I thought. Anyway, they. I think there is going to be a hook that's missing from this game.
Interesting. You think
And
maybe an alligator ate it?
No, because I think you can have hooks for hands in this game. I just think it's going to be missing a hook in terms of gameplay.
Is that how you're supposed to park a boat, Zach?
Absolutely not. You will see it becomes a problem later because it did run aground, and so I had to empty the bottom of the ship. And so this is a thing you'll have to worry about, I guess. If you're by yourself, you have to do this all yourself, which is not fun. But
I mean, this is great. I have watched. Well, I mean, during the first beta, I watched people play with teams, and it does look like a lot of fun to hang out. Like one person is steering, one person maybe is bucketing water, and they let you have like instrument, which is also a fun thing. Like there's a lot of good like emergent gameplay here, but I don't think that it. I don't think that has longevity.
yeah, that's why I say you need that compelling hook to keep you coming back. And
You need more. I'm telling you, man. You need early days of Minecraft. You need shit coming out on a daily, not daily, but like on a week to week basis. Then that's what no game has captured. I feel like is like week to week. Just like guess what? We're adding a pet system, and I know it would be a lot of work, but I mean, are they working on anything else right now? I feel like player retention is so important in this, especially for games where there's a bunch of emergent player versus player content. It's essential to have new content, I guess.
that's true. And a time when a game like PUBG or even Fortnite Battle Royale can come along, and there's not really that like sense of reward for playing that game over and over again necessarily, but the fact that it's fun to play with people and it
PUBG,
does
though,
have that emergent gameplay that you're talking about, this game might do fine.
PUBG has that thing. It has that hook though of like there are times where like week to week they're like, guess what? We're adding something else. Like they just last week they were like, guess what? Later this month there's gonna be a new small map that's like 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers, and it's gonna lead to crazy intense short games. Like the people, Tencent I think is the people that are making PUBG. They're innovating on a month to month basis, and with a big corporation like Microsoft, I don't know that they're gonna throw the weight that they could throw behind a game like this.
Yeah, I was thinking of it more in this game. I guess I was thinking more in terms of something like Destiny, that's that shared world game that you play with other people. And like Destiny has its own problems right now.
It does.
As well, but the thing that Destiny 1 did so well is that it gave you reason to come back because there was always like something else that you wanted to earn.
Very true.
And
yeah.
this game needs to have that, I think. And I don't know if it's gonna do fine without that stuff, just because PUBG can get away with not having that because it's a multiplayer shooter, and
it's skill based. Like no matter how, I mean, I don't know that the skill ceiling for this is super high. Whereas PUBG, like there is clear demarcation between the best players and the worst players because of just like the physics and just like learning the game. It does not seem like it's going to take a long time to learn and get good at this game.
So yeah, that's true. Although here's a question: if we're talking about those, like how well these sorts of online games are doing, do you think if one of the big franchises like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield, or there was rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2, if those games make their own battle royale game, will PUBG fall by the wayside?
I don't know. I did hear that about Red Dead Redemption 2, and that seems interesting to me for a lot of reasons. But I don't know. There's something about the aesthetic of PUBG. I like that it's kind of half-baked, and like Fortnite is not interesting to me. The graphics of Fortnite and there's not like, it's not as looting based. Like there's a word for it. I don't remember what the word is, but it's basically like a fun cycle that you're going through. The fun cycle in PUBG is so good because so many people are playing it, I guess, is one thing that, and they're innovating so much. I guess I don't know what I'm saying right now.
Well, I think you're not wrong, but I think Fortnite is actually, like, they've taken over in terms of numbers.
It's true.
Because it's free, I think, mainly. But I agree. I don't really find Fortnite appealing just looking at it. I haven't played it, but I think I would much rather have a more realistic shooter experience than like the cartoony run around and build, which bringing it back to Sea of Thieves is why I think Skull and Bones might be more appealing to people than this game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe I'm wrong because it's Rare and people like Rare, and people
like Rare.
But
I think if there are skill-based mechanics in Skull and Bones, and it is heavily PvP focused, such that it's very it's good to watch on Twitch. There's a better way to say that, but
streamable.
It's very streamable, I guess is a good word. Like this is streamable for once a week maybe, but I don't know that it's going to have those Destiny hooks of like, hey, there's like daily and weekly stuff to do. Maybe it will, I don't know, but you're right. I think it's lacking in its day-to-day content.
Yeah, that's definitely my biggest concern for this game. Although they did say that you can go to the area where there's a big cloud in the sky that's in the shape of a skull, and it's got green glowing eyes, and if you go there with people, it's kind of like a raid, but it's not like a full-on Destiny style raid. And I wonder if getting new types of weapons and outfits and things like that is going to matter at some point, because I think if it doesn't matter, then they're going to be in the same problem, the same boat that Destiny's in right now, where there's not really a point to upgrading and getting new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if the gameplay is fun, that's great, and definitely having aesthetic things to grind for there's something to be said for that. But real world like goals that change the gameplay, like that's why Destiny 1 was so good. You were grinding for those exotics that like drastically altered the way you played the game, like mission to mission. Like when Last Word dropped for you, and all of a sudden you had this like insane gun that was a little broken in PvP. That was a great moment. And I mean, there's like 4 weapons. There's like 4 or 5 weapons in this, and I don't know. I mean, you can get gold versions of them, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like you need those game-changing things.
Well, and that's another thing to think about is how will getting an upgraded version of the Cutlass, how is that going to break balance, or will it at all? Because I think they have to think about that also. They have to make sure that things don't become imbalanced, because this game, when I look at it and from what I've played of it, it just feels like GTA and Red Dead Redemption's free roam modes on a larger scale.
That's it. I mean,
those games I got very bored with very quickly because there's essentially nothing to do other than go mess around with other people.
I don't think we should get fully into this because I think we could do a whole other video on this. But I feel that games like this need to embrace imbalance. One of the things that's wrong with Destiny 2 at the moment is they've embraced balance too much in that like nothing matters and like nothing feels powerful and nothing feels weak. I think you need to have measurable things that you're like, oh, this guy put in like 60 hours, so that's why his character is like noticeably more powerful than someone who just started playing. Like if there are crazy ships going around that have crazy stuff that you have to grind like 40 or 50 hours for, like there needs to be a power, like balance in some forms does need to exist, but like stuff needs to make you feel powerful. I think that's the main problem with Destiny 2. We don't need to really get into that in this video, but I don't know.
Well, I mean that's fair. I guess we can save that conversation, but there is like to an extent this game may feel, if those upgraded weapons do make a difference in combat with other players, it'll feel probably more like Call of Duty or Battlefield, where it's not necessarily unfair because you stand a chance, but you can tell, oh, this guy's got a better gun than me, and it's because he's been playing longer. But there's still a sense of balance. I think that's where Bungie's just really bad at balancing things.
They're bad at a lot of things.
They either go too far in one way or one direction and not far enough in the other, and then they reverse it. Like Destiny 1 was not very balanced, and they kept trying to fix it, and they couldn't. And so then with Destiny 2, they did a better job of balancing it, but now there's not those power weapons to be able to...
There's not power anything. I don't feel powerful ever in that game.
Well, which, like, the fact that their armor doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, nothing matters. Like, no stat matters.
Which I feel like could be a problem for Sea of Thieves. If none of that stuff matters, I feel like it should. And I wonder how they're going to handle that. Because, like I said, there are something akin to raids. And it's going to, like, if you don't have a way of sort of living longer, I guess, when you have multiple enemies coming at you, and you don't have a good method of dealing with multiple enemies at once. Like, from what I've seen, the combat against the skeleton people is not very interesting. It's very, very shallow.
Wait, is there armor in this game?
No, it's just outfits, and I don't think it has any sort of stat value whatsoever.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know about this.
Yeah. So I think it could be fun to play once in a while if you had like a group of friends, but I do think it's gonna be, people aren't gonna stick with it. It's not gonna be their everyday game.
PUBG is $30, and I think that is good. I think it could be $60, but the fact that it is $30 has given it such a high adoption rate that I mean, it was a good call. This, which seems like maybe just slightly more content, this is a $60 game.
Yeah, I also think it should be like no more than $30, $40.
I agree. Like, I feel like way more people, I would consider getting this if it was $30, because $30 is like dinner and a movie on a weekend. Yep. And that's something where a lot of people can make that value proposition and be like, yeah, this is going to be good for maybe 30 hours. So I'm paying $1 an hour. This is a good deal. But $60, people balk at that because it's just like, I mean, Skyrim, when it came out, was a $60 game. That's a very not timely example. But
yeah, how do you weigh that? How do you weigh that content value versus this? Yeah,
exactly.
I agree. I think it's going to be maybe a hard sell for some people.
I mean, I'm interested to see 2 weeks out after it comes out what people are saying and if it gets discounted. I mean, if no one buys it, 100% they're going to be like, "Hey, it's $40 now, everybody." But I guess we'll see what the adoption rate is.
Well, and it could be like the first Destiny, where it was super shallow in terms of content, and then like almost a year later, maybe not a full year later, they released this huge content drop that changed everything.
That would be great. And I could see that happening, but I also don't want to play it for a year when there's nothing going on prior to... Maybe I'll pick it up when that happens, but...
Yep.
Well, I guess TBD.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll find out. And
what does it come out? March something? 27th?
March 20th on PC and Xbox One. It is going to be available on that Game Pass. So if you're a subscriber to that, you can play it for free, but you have to have an Xbox for that.
I don't have an Xbox.
I do not either. They need to make that available on PC, because I would probably subscribe to it. I would definitely think about it for a while anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for showing me this stuff, Zach.
Yep. Thanks for the chat. I guess we'll check in with this game again later and see.
We should do a follow-up video like 2 or 3 weeks after it comes out.
For sure. Until then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Did I sound like the AOL? That's my impression of the AOL.